it's nice to have a blanket to, you know, put myself up.
What are you talking
You
about?
You don't want to put.
Shut up, Kevin! It's time for the controller pile-up!
Yay!
How's it going, guys? We are doing the controller pile-up this way. As you could tell, this is being posted as an after video the first time. From this point on, it will be live. Okay, that's what I'm trying to put out there. That's what I'm trying to say. This one, somebody forgot to verify this YouTube, so we were not able to do it live. So the first episode is recorded, and it's not actually the first episode. We're on like episode something.
175.
No, there's
episode
no way.
Episode
no way.
The new method. Let's go that way.
Excuse me.
Oh, that's about right.
Well, a guy has to belch, okay? You're not supposed to hold it in.
He doesn't have to belch. Well, actually, he kind of does. Oh man, we got the hardcore amount of episodes. Ready for episode 9 is what we're on.
Dude.
Oh crap!
You can tell that this show.
We're big balling over here.
We're big. This show it's almost on the same. It's almost on par with Sentai.
No joke.
with all them episodes we've got.
Dude, we have so many.
Dude, it's crazy.
Okay, so we start this. This whole thing is very simple. It's what's going on in your gaming lives. The whole point of the controller pile-up is that throughout the course of this hobby, shit piles up. There's a new game every single week, if not 3 or 4 new games, and not everybody discovers the same games at the same time. Sometimes you don't discover a game and actually get a chance to play it until 15 years after it was released. Does that make it worse? Sometimes it does. Sometimes it doesn't. That's a true statement. Sometimes games are ruined for you, like Final Fantasy VII. If you play that game 15 years after it was released, you already knew Ares was going to die. It did nothing for you. You missed out on that magnificence.
Wait,
but
Ares dies? You fucking spoiled it.
I know. Damn it. There should be a statute of limitations on 20 years or something like that for me not being able to...
20 years is no excuse for you to spoil it. I'm getting around to it.
Spoiler alerts are timeless, man. Come on now.
But
in the age of information, it really is.
That is what's going on. So, who wants to start?
I'm going to leave that to Kevin.
Okay, so with my reviews aside, what I've been doing in my free time is Pokemon Go. Been doing that for a while, and then also I jumped on the Fortnite bandwagon, so I've been playing that a little bit, and yeah. But when it comes
what was that sound about? What was that sound?
That's the sound of excitement.
That didn't sound like the sound of excitement. That sounded like something else when he mentioned Fortnite.
What?
See, here's the thing. It blew up way more than I ever anticipated it to. But I was actually playing it about 2 or 3 months before it took off, like mainstream. And the moment it took off, I stopped playing it because it was pissing me off that it was getting that type of attention. Because I don't like jumping on the bandwagon to that degree. But it's also still fun, so I wanted to play it. So I decided to say fuck it and go back into it.
I see.
I mean, it's not bad. Like I will give Epic Games credit though, because they have been continually pushing out content. They are listening to fans. They're not just saying, here's a good game. Oh, if it's not good in your standards, well, fuck off. They're actually trying to keep it relevant. So I do appreciate that.
Okay, so what is Fortnite for somebody that really has not given enough of a shit to go try it? I see that it's free, and that's all that I see.
It's a battle royale game.
Okay.
It drops you on a gigantic map, 100 players. And it basically, the goal is to be the last one alive. But
and it also had sex with Minecraft because you're allowed to build whatever you want. Based off of the limitations that they have in the game, obviously.
As long as you collect like wood, metal, and stuff like that, you can build stuff. It's like PUBG, but
better.
PUBG doesn't have the building aspect. It's just a pure battle royale game.
Yeah, and once you
Fortnite's a hybrid.
Yeah, and once you get into like high end gaming stuff, when it comes to like competitive play, the motherfuckers that are in that higher standard are ridiculous. Like the amount of skill you have to have with this game versus like Call of Duty and all the FPS bullshit is ridiculous, because not only do you have to deal with the standard FPS style of play, but you have to also be building. You have to be mindful of that. You have to be good at that to do that on the fly. Be way more mindful of positioning and shit like that.
You hear that, Shane? Once you get into real gaming, not like the level that you're at, but once you get into something that matters,
something that I will never get to, because that's way too much. Like I've gotten first place once because I have a couple of friends that are.
Apologize for that.
But I have a couple of friends that are way too into the game, so I run with them and we get first place sometimes. But by myself, I fucking suck.
By the way, that interruption was brought to you by Shane's Persona noises.
Persona, play it.
Play it. Persona, play it.
But a segue I have when it comes to Fortnite is the fact that it's going on to mobile.
It's already out on that thing.
Yeah, exactly. And that interests me, not just the sole fact of Fortnite and PUBG being on there specifically, but the fact of what that means for the future of mobile gaming. Because there's already people like Razer, and there's this other, I think it's a Chinese, I think they're called Exami. They're making a gaming smartphone, fucking ridiculous gaming smartphone. So it looks like that is becoming the next standard when it comes to AAA games, possibly.
That would be hard for me to believe. Here's the thing. When you talk about moving things forward and changing things, you're splitting your ideas in generations also. And this is true because, okay, I read comic books. I buy them physically because that's where I grew up and that's what I do, and I'm not really willing to change it. But however, the marketing I know is changing to digital, but it's never going to change digital for me and all the thousands of people that are at my level. It's already changed for people like my nephew Alex. Like, when he gets into stuff like this, and he comes over here all the time, and I see him, and he's the kind of guy that does what you're talking about. He'll be on his phone, and that for him is gaming. He has an Xbox at home. That's fine. But he can spend hours upon hours upon hours upon hours playing the ports that come out for your phone, for the mobile market. But our generation, it's going to be a really tough sale to say, hey, leave the controller alone. You don't need your fancy $2,000 frickin' 4K HD television set. Drop the lifestyle, Shane. What you need is an awesome, new age, mobile smartphone. That's what you need. That's gaming for you from now on, Shane.
Here's my rebuttal, Bill. You have Chromecast, so you can cast your game from your phone to your TV.
But it's not the same.
Ask you have
anybody.
Bluetooth controllers.
Anybody that plays emulators. For some reason, there is a difference between playing Nintendo. I could play any Nintendo game I want.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But there's something different about playing Donkey Kong on my emulator through my giant TV as opposed to actually popping in the cartridge. It's a weird explanation, and it only deals with our generation. But what you're proposing,
I think, is what it comes down to.
You're proposing the future of something, and I think you're kind of wound up in the technology because everybody wants it to be the future. Look at 3D. That was going to be the future. And then virtual reality was going to be the future. And then all these things show up and they play around for a while and they get a good market and then they die off because the guys that are hardcore that are sticking in the way that we have for so long is us. And we're the guys that are putting the money, and we don't care to leave our consoles and controllers. Even PC has gotten a lot more standing, but that's because it finally became convenient enough to get the mass market in there. Now, in terms of mobile gaming, I think that mobile gaming will eventually take over the home market. Things like sitting around at your computer by yourself in a room, that's going to change because the world is more pick up and go than it used to be. But I don't think it's going to happen for us. I think it'll happen for them.
Well, yeah. But the reason why I wanted to bring it up is just the fact that now with like Razer and other companies making phones that have enough power to stand like toe-to-toe with computers, from 5 years ago is ridiculous. Like how much power they're putting in phones in order to make gaming on mobile devices legitimate. Because like as of right now, before PUBG and before Fortnite and shit like that, all it was is the premium free-to-play titles. There's a couple decent games that you can spend money on, but almost nobody does. So it was very much a niche market for people that were on the go gaming, like you were saying. But now that it seems like they're trying to take people that are playing games on PC and PS4 and being like, hey guys, you can play that same game on mobile. I'm waiting for the moment where they start making exclusive titles for mobile, the way they do with consoles, and they see mobile gaming like its own platform. Instead of just being an extra addition.
Well, it is its own platform. It's just a different market, but
it's something that no one's making exclusive titles for at this point.
They are.
Well, when it comes to like, I'm not talking about free to play premium bullshit.
But you can't. Okay, we don't like it, but that's not true because we're paying for it. Look. They released the statistics last year, and 40%, that's 40% of the gaming market that made profit last year was all DLC and microtransactions. Yeah. That's all free-to-play games. That's all costumes. That's all stupid weapons. That's all credits in games. And we're paying for it. If we weren't paying for it, they couldn't be making that much money. So, I mean, yes, it's not your favorite thing and it's not my favorite thing, but we're paying it.
Yeah.
I mean, it pains me to believe it, but I am responsible for going out and taking a $20 card every 2 paychecks and putting it on my PlayStation and finding costumes and shit I want for my other games.
Well, yeah, like when it comes to cosmetic stuff, I have dropped money on that, and I don't care about that portion. The thing that bugs me about a lot of the majority of mobile games is when you have to pay money in order to be relevant in the game.
Right.
Or in order to complete it. That's what bugs me.
But then a lot of those games are free.
Yeah.
So,
but there's also games like Hearthstone. Well, okay, Hearthstone's a bad example. Okay, Fortnite, stuff like that where it's all cosmetics. Dota 2, all MOBAs. They're all, you can spend some money to get cosmetics. Some you have to unlock characters, but at the end of the day, you don't have to, like at all.
I can't.
And that's the route I'm okay with.
Yeah, but. Man, it's so complicated. Like, you look at something like Final Fantasy 15. I burnt out on it, but other people would argue that it's really cool. In fact, you have argued that time and time again, you've said these game developers need to continue supporting and supporting and supporting and supporting.
Yeah.
But then Square Enix did that. And even now, Final Fantasy 15 is still getting support. They're still getting episodes, new cutscenes, free content, extra weapons, added on bonuses, game features, graphical updates, all kinds of ridiculous crap, to the point where a game started at like, what was it, 60, 50 something gigs, and now it takes nearly 115 gigs on the hard drive.
But people want that, though. That's the thing.
But they do. But see, that's just it. Back when we first had this conversation, you were not too keen on the idea of the AAA developers playing the same game, but you did like the idea that an independent studio would constantly update and update and update and update and update. But when does it, like, I like the idea of supported content, but when does it get to be too much?
Yeah.
Because Final Fantasy 15...
it also depends on the genre of game, too. Because, I mean, for a game like Final Fantasy 15, that's a different ballpark on, you know, as opposed to, like, a Call of Duty or MOBA, where all it is online support. So with that type of stuff, when you have a meta, you do have to continually make updates, continually add things to keep the game relevant.
Okay,
so
but
it greatly depends on the genre of game too.
But then at the same time, you see that for things like Street Fighter.
Yeah.
Street Fighter gets an update like every single month, and for a while there, they were getting a new game every 2 or 3 months, which was basically an update to the way that the game played. And it would add a couple characters and things like that and do balancing and stuff like that. And people would get mad because there is a level of support that gets ridiculous. And once you talk about support and how much support goes into it, how much we update and push a game forward from its original place to where it is now, the worst gaming generation in history is going to be the PlayStation 3 era. And then it's going to become this era. And the reason I say that is because every single game you have that you played in your PlayStation 3 era, in about 10 years when they shut the markets down and those updates are no longer available, you're going to have to play the base game. And when I buy a base game for Nintendo or Sega Genesis or PlayStation 1, it's the base game. And it plays exactly like it did when I was a kid. But what's going to happen to those people that grew up in PlayStation 3, that get to be our age, that go back to the retro years and play, I don't know, Assassin's Creed? Well, specifically a really broken Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, they may have some type of market where like you can play it on your PlayStation 6 for $20, you know, as a retro game. So that's probably how they're going to do it.
So in other words, these people, instead of, which still makes it the worst generation, because instead of going back and buying your PlayStation 3 and reliving your childhood like we got the chance to do, these people have no chance but to buy the next port for the next system.
Yeah. Unless Sony decides to, when they kill the system, they just kill the online capabilities. But like when it comes to online play, but if you buy a game, it will automatically update to the version it was before it died.
But that wouldn't be up to them. They won't do that. And the reason I could promise you they won't do that is because you've already seen it with the Xbox. The original Xbox had Xbox Live, and the updates that came from Xbox Live for certain games, you can't get them.
Okay.
Like,
now, are those just games that were multiplayer
it's every
focused,
game.
Or is that every game?
It's every game, because it depends on the developer. Like, it's not going to be up to Sony. It's not going to be up to Sony PlayStation to provide the updates to Assassin's Creed. It's going to be up to the actual developers of that game. And that's where another problem comes in, which we've seen on things like Skype. Shane, did you enjoy playing KOTOR?
On the Xbox.
Oh, well, why didn't you enjoy it on your brand new fucking system?
On Steam?
Yeah. I mean, it was on there. You could play it.
I did. I own it.
Yeah, you got all them updates and everything that the company provided you. Was that nice? Does that help you play the game at all?
No.
Why not? What is wrong with the game?
It is not good because everybody had different problems with it, such as I would have problems where as an example, you were having problems that every time you started the game, it would minimize your screen. Well, for me, I was having
every time it changed resolution to go to a video clip or the guy talking or something of that nature, it would minimize my screen and it would blank the backgrounds and I couldn't see anything. I would have to bring the screen back up and minimize it and bring it up and minimize it and do that over and over and over again until it worked. And Shane had a completely different problem.
I can't remember what my problem was.
I know what your problem was. You had the attack glitch, which is every time you melee attack, your guy gets stuck in that place and cannot move for the rest of the game.
Yes, yep, you're right.
That's
you're
fun.
Absolutely right.
And
I could not.
These are issues that existed that they had fixed, but then we moved to Windows 10 and they ported that game and said, "There you go." But they did not bother to fix those glitches again, and nor will they, because now the continued support is dead, because the game is too old. Nobody cares about KOTOR anymore, except for the people that want to go back to their nostalgia, which is like us, and we figured out the hard way that we can't do that because that company no longer supports it.
Yeah, and I think what bugged me the most for something similar to that is when there was a Steam sale, and I was like, "Hey, there's Fallout 3. You can play Fallout 3, guy. Like, it's only $2." Oh, that's awesome! I'm gonna pick that up.
Oh shit!
I start downloading it. Took like 5 minutes. It was beautiful. I'm like, "Oh, sweet! I don't have to wait to get my Fallout on."
It was beautiful for 5 minutes. What happened to your awesome experience?
So I try to run it. Gets an error. I'm like, okay, so I just delete it, re-download it, another error saying it's not compatible. I'm like, okay, so I run it in my Windows 10 in compatibility mode, which normally fix it. Doesn't work. Find out it wasn't a forum that was on Steam. It was a forum I had to go search for that said it wasn't compatible for Windows 10 at all. And they didn't put that on the Steam page whatsoever.
The way I had to make KOTOR work was a wraparound nightmare. I had to get a patch. I had to get like a patching program which would adjust the size of the screen and redo the movies. And then I had to go into Windows 10, go to the actual file, find the exe or whatever, you know what I'm talking about. And then I had to change that to run, and you can go to these compatibilities and force Windows 10 to operate within old compatibilities, and I had to tell Windows 10 to operate as Windows 98 for the game.
Oh my god.
To force the game to work.
I'm sure doing something like that would have worked, because I know now that I went back like I think 3 or 4 months ago, and there are people that gave out guides on how to do it. But
the fact that you have to create a fucking workaround guide to play these games. And it's not just computer. That's something a lot of people want to put that on computer gaming, but this is going to be true from now on for all gaming. Because if you any game you want to go back to on the PlayStation 3, chances are in the next 5 years, those games will not have updates. And if you have deleted them from your PlayStation 3, you have no choice but to buy the next port of that game, because those games don't work. At least not the way you think you want them to. Like, there's so many games with so much DLC, like you buy Injustice, and you think Injustice is cool, and you had all the DLC, and then they shut down the marketplace, and you can't get that DLC. So you have to buy the next port, such as Ultimate Alliance, Marvel Ultimate Alliance. I, on the Xbox, had bought all the DLC. Then, one day, I deleted it because I needed space. I deleted it, I played some other games, I went to get it again. I got the game again because I had the disc. So I just put it in, and there we go. And it did the little update, and then I figured out that the company had discontinued the DLC. So it no longer existed for me, and I had no choice but to tediously hunt down the Gold Edition, which was a port that had all the DLC. And this was while the Xbox 360 was still alive. Now that it's dead, and it's soon that its marketplace will follow, all the shit that you played back then will sooner or later become a shell of what you originally played. The updates will not be there, and if you were a DLC guy, which, let's be honest, almost everybody is,
yeah.
When you played Dragon Age, I'm pretty sure you downloaded the Golem. He was not actually in the game. You added him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? If you want to go back and play today, well, not today, because I think he's still on there today, but if you want to go back without the port, if you just have the original game from, say, a pawn shop 10 years from now, you don't get that guy. Or those updates that fixed the weird crappiness of the game, which there was a lot of weird problems.
So what you're telling me is don't buy games, 10 years in the future. Buy everything you want now and stock up on fucking like 15 external hard drives.
I'm saying
so that way you always have your DLC.
Realistically, I'm saying that the gaming industry has found a way to push us in the direction it wanted. And it may not have even been on purpose. Like, what the gaming industry wants is the gaming industry wants us to play the games that are out right now. And if we want to play an old game, they want us to play the re-release of that old game. Yeah. And without even realizing they were doing it, they may have got exactly what they wanted. Because now that we have become dependent on what you like. You said you like when these guys come out and they support and support and support and support a game. But when that support goes away and you get that game later on, that game no longer works because the support's not there and you're back to version 1.0.
See, and that's where it becomes a demon, because when it comes to indie developers, the only way to really stand out in the market today is to continually do updates. Because without that, if you're not producing content, if you're not showing the community, hey, we're going to provide you a game that you want, which is a game that continually stays updated and current, then they're never going to get noticed. So in order to stay relevant, they have to.
But for what kind of games? The reason I bring this up is because, look, video games, and I've mentioned this before, and that's even what this show is about, is it's about what have you been playing, what have you been doing? Well, look, sometimes you don't discover a game till 15 years down the road when somebody says,
oh, yeah, for sure,
you've never played Shining Force? Well, I could say that, because if I want you to play Shining Force, there are multiple ways to do it, and they all work, because that game was finished, and it doesn't need update after update after update after update. But nowadays, every single game that comes out gets updates and DLC and addings and patches and all kinds of crap. And because of that, you can't go back. We are entering a generation of straightforward. We're in a hallway, and the hallway's not wide enough for you to turn around. You have to keep going this way and playing these games that are ahead of you. And you might be able to play these games that are off to the sides of you, but once these pictures pass you by, you can't go back and look at those pictures again because the color has faded.
Yeah. No, and I completely understand where you're coming from, and I do agree. So, but that being said, when you're asking what kind of updates, for a lot of indie games, the biggest updates that a reviewer like myself and also gamers look for is patches, because when it comes to an indie developer, unfortunately,
that's right, you shut up.
Yeah, nobody cares about your indie shit.
That's right. Shut up.
I don't know what
you fucking play what the industry puts out.
That's right.
But anyway,
Don't be trying to educate a motherfucker in here.
because of that, since they're so small, they don't have the capabilities and ability to find every single bug there is. So they use their community and they put it in a beta testing and stuff like that. And they look at what the community is finding, and then they make those fixes as they come up.
Right. But I'm not even arguing. What I'm telling you is the reason that mobile gaming and things of that nature will take hold in the generation that comes after us is exactly the argument I just put down. Yeah. Our generation grew up on Intellivisions, Ataris, Nintendos, Sega Genesis, Super Nintendos, N64s, PlayStations, Game Boys, Game Boy Advances, Game Boy Advances SP, Game Boy DS, all of these things that I have mentioned. You can go back. Our gaming legacy will never die. What we got to grow up with can always be utilized again. But the kids that started in Xbox 360s, in PlayStation 3s, they will not have the same gaming legacies that we grew up with. They are forced to move forward because what is left behind them will never be as good as their childhood deemed it was. With us, we have the chance to go back and say, this isn't as good as I remember. And the reason why is because the game really wasn't as good as you remember. But when a game was as good as you remember, it really was. But every child that goes back to the PlayStation 3 will never have that. They will never say, this is every bit as good as I remember it being. No, it's not. Because what you remember playing was version like 3.6.2. This is version 1.0. And you're going to discover a lot of crap that you're going to say, I don't remember it being like this. I remember specifically that this part used to work like this. Like, I don't know what's going on here. Well, what's going on here is that you can't go back to your memories the way that I can with my Nintendo. The industry has created, in their constant updates and constant attention and constant DLC and constant add-ons and constant patches, a hallway that the gaming community that was born into the 360 must walk down. You have to. It's not a choice. And it's going to come down to the same guys with all the indie developers. The indie developers caused their own dilemma by never being able to create a classic. In fact, the age of classics is dead because there's no game created now that didn't need a day one patch.
So the only thing I will say that could possibly save the gaming community as of right now, from what you've been talking about, is Steam. Because if you look back on Steam, and I was just doing that while we're talking, every single game that has come out since 2007, I'm not finding one earlier than that, so correct me if I'm wrong.
KOTOR.
They're still there on Steam.
KOTOR is still there on Steam. You can't play it.
Yeah,
not without a whole lot of back and forth and hacking and patching.
Well, here's the thing. So you were talking about how we go back. We normally, if you're playing a game classic style, think about it. You're going back to your Atari. You're going back to your Sega Genesis.
Yes.
In order to keep that same style, then you can get an old computer, run it on whatever version that it used to run back then, and you could still play your game the way it was when you originally played it.
But
that same concept.
But you can't do that on a 360.
No, you can't. Well, and that's why I'm specifically talking about Steam. I was saying
Steam has its problems though, because we just mentioned KOTOR. I mean, that is unavoidable. That's not the only game I've come across in there that has problems like that. And you just said it. Like, you got to do an awful lot of work to go get an old computer that is that old.
But at least
or you got to get patches and you got to do emulation and all this other crap.
Yeah.
To make that old game work. And can you do it?
Unfortunately,
yes.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's going to be the retro gaming of people in this generation. So that will be their version of picking up a Sega Genesis.
It will only be the retro gaming for the people that care to think about it that hard.
Exactly, which still will be, though.
Here's the normal person. The normal person is what thrives. The normal person is what makes this business thrive. And the normal person doesn't know how to get this patch and do this and change your settings and go in and flip this and change this thing and then go into the README file or whatever and go down to this and find your dimensions and delete this and add this and then put negative Y74. That's going to do a code that will allow you to do this. Because I had to do, I serious. This is what it took to make KOTOR work. I had to do almost everything I just told you.
Yeah, the gaming, like the majority of gamers are, hey, here's my 360.
Right.
Press play. It's done.
We talked about this. We talked about this way back in the very first episode. In the first episode, I said, what makes consoles last and stand the test of time? This. Game, box, controller, TV. I put it in, I hit play, it works. That's what I want. That's what I want. It's the reason the Steam boxes failed. The Steam boxes failed because they were too technical. They offered too many options to an audience that did not care. They just wanted their game to work. And
already, like for example, the Nintendo Switch. There's already been rumors. I'm not sure if they're true yet, of them already going to be thinking about releasing another updated Switch to get rid of the hacks, but also upgrade the processor. Already.
I've heard stuff.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's true.
I've heard rumors, but I'll tell you that what they're going to do, and I'm positive of this, they'll release some sort of different version, but they will not update the actual capability of the Switch. And the reason is because they would run a risk of alienating their market. And right now, they have already surpassed, it has already sold nearly double what the Wii U did in its lifespan.
Dude, not even that, because it goes further than that too, because I was looking on some articles before we went on this podcast today, and it looks like as if the projections stay the way they have been, which I can see that happening with Fire Emblem, Pokemon, and everything else coming out at the end of this year. It's on track to sell more than the PS4, and also it's on track to sell more than 200. I think it was 200 million consoles, which is a record. No console has ever done that, and it's on track of doing that in its lifetime.
And the reason,
which is ridiculous,
the reason I would say that is happening is because the Switch did something that hit with both markets. Today, that mobile market, it works for people like my nephew. That's fine with him. He could do that crap all day long and it doesn't bother him. But like for me, I need to know that there's a quality in the design of what I'm doing. I need it to still feel like a console, because that's where I am. That's where I grew up. That's what I know. That's what gaming is. Where like the Switch somehow managed to do both. I could play it at home. I could play it on the go. It always feels like a console. And let's be honest, it's not just a portable system. This thing is mind-blowing for one other major reason. I can go to Buffalo Wild Wings and sit down to eat chicken. And while I wait for my chicken, I could put the screen up and I can hand a Joy-Con to my daughter. And it's an actual console. That thing is a screen that will split, and I could play Mario Kart. Like, that is revolutionary. Remember what you had to do to play two players on any other portable console that has ever existed?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Cables. Link cables.
Or that stupid...
Hey guy, we're trading Pokemon with link cables.
That wavelength thing that the PSP had, that thing where you could turn the little thing on and then two PSPs could communicate, and it always sucked.
Dude, my book bag with when I was in the Pokemon back in the day, it was ridiculous because I had 2 Game Boys, so that way I can trade to myself.
To yourself.
I'm an idiot.
To yourself,
Yeah.
because you had to
You
find a
with a
friend
link
that actually
cable.
had that
Sad
shit.
fact.
And I also had 2
No,
link cables
remember
in case my friend did not.
Zelda? Remember, they tried to make a Zelda where you needed 4 Game Boy Advances,
Yeah.
4 swords, and a link cable that actually connected 4 SPs together.
Oh yeah.
Who the fuck ever played that? Who did
I
it?
never even tried to, no.
I played the game by myself.
No,
Yeah.
there was a version that was released on the GameCube that you could play by yourself. But the actual 4 swords, you have to have 4 Game Boys, 4 games, 1 link cable, and 3 friends.
Yeah, I remember looking at that, seeing what I had to do and being like, nope.
And I can't tell you how bad I wanted to play that awesome looking game. But
Yeah.
who ever played that game? Who got to do it? Who was like, dude, I just happen to have 4 different people with 4 Game Boys with 4 of the same game, all right here in the same fucking room with a table that we can fucking all sit around that's just long enough so the cord isn't jerking people's games out of their hands.
Oh, it pissed me off more when, like, I would be at lunch and then all my friends got together saying, hey, you want a Pokemon battle? Yeah, I'd love to. No link cable. Well, shit. Never mind.
Fuck me.
I know, right? So after that, I ended up buying 2 link cables to make sure I always had a spare.
And here's the thing, when they do ports, I'm okay with them making slight modifications to the ports, but they never do it. You know what would have really been a benefit if in say Pokemon Yellow that was re-released on the DS, if you could have actually went to the trading center and traded with your friend over Wi-Fi while they were at home and you were at home.
Yeah.
I don't think you could do that.
I have no idea. I never picked up the Yellow port.
I don't think it lets you do that. I guess we would need Seth to actually ask that question. What were you going to bring up, Shane?
It was the Zelda thing.
Yeah.
Like remembering how ass the 4 swords was to play multiplayer.
Oh, yeah.
Because of all the hardware you needed just to play a single game.
1 game.
Right, and also
the
Switch,
Switch,
go ahead.
The Switch
Look,
is amazing.
we're adults.
Yeah.
We're adults today with money. And we still can't play that game.
I know, right?
Because each one of us would have to go buy a SP, a Game Boy Advanced SP. We'd all have to go buy that game. We'd have to find one of those cords. Then we'd have to all get together for hours. It's not a small game.
I'm looking it up on Amazon now to see if we can even find that and how much fucking money it would be.
We would literally have to get together for a couple of hours to play this game. And we still can't do it. We're still missing a player. And you can't even start the game without the 4 fucking people.
Oh, you can still get the 4-way link cable for the Game Boy Advance for $9.
Okay, so it's $9. There's our beginning price.
And then how much is the...
I have an SP, but I don't have the game. So I have to buy the game, and you guys have to buy the game and the SP.
Right.
Well, I still have I think we have the original Game Boy Advance, not the SP, but the really bare bones ass one.
Okay, so you have the you have the Game Boy Advanced.
Okay, so you can get it on shady websites for $8 and on mainstream websites for about $20.
Okay, hear that, Shane? $20. So now you're already you're at 29. Oh, you're at $29. Now you need a system, Shane. And this is just so you can play. So far, I just got to get the game.
$45.
I got to get the game, so I got to do $20.
Yep, $45 for the SP.
No, but once you buy the cable, it's a 4-way link cable. One of us has to take the hit. One of us has to take the hit.
Only one person has to have the link cable, man.
How about you take the hit because you're spending less?
Oh, that's bullshit, man. We're trying to socially see. We already can't play. We already can't play because you won't take the hit. And I refuse to.
You're trying to punish Bill because he's prepared? What kind of shit is that, man?
That's horseshit.
You can't punish him for being prepared. Motherfucker listened to Boy Scouts. He was prepared, man.
Why?
And you're trying to convince him.
He has to spend $20 for the game.
He was prepared.
I have to spend $20 on the game, $9 on the cord, and $45 for the console.
That's what you get, man, for not, being a child of your past, man. You were neglecting your child.
Yeah, you're the one that has to dive in. Like, we had some of the equipment already.
Yeah, so you have to get some equipment too, man.
Well, to be fair, I don't recall ever sitting around with everybody being like, "Hey, man, we playing the Four Swords?"
Well, that's because none of us are ready.
And that's because you don't have a system. We didn't want to be like, "Hey, you want to go play Four Swords?" Because we knew you weren't down, man.
And you're also going to have to find us a fourth player.
Exactly.
Do you have a system, Kevin?
I said I have the retro one.
Yeah, he has an original.
So there's
I
two.
think my wife also has the original Game Boy Color too. That's fun to play.
So now see, we've got two systems, no game, no cord, and we need two more systems, a cord, and 4 games. Oh, and another dude to play.
Oh, and I think I also have the retro 3DS that can play Game Boy Advance games.
Oh, and we're gonna have to. We're gonna but it won't use the cord.
Oh, it won't use that. Oh, damn.
So you can't use that DS because you got to be able to use that cord.
It's bullshit.
Shane, I'm trying to play this cool game that nobody ever got to play ever.
I played it when it was on the GameCube.
You know what's the best part?
If
we actually did this, let's try to find I'm sure there's some ass way of live streaming it, and we need to do it.
It would probably be an ass way. That's no joke.
I will look it up. Wait, I'm gonna find out right now if there's a way to live stream a Game Boy Advance.
I'll bet you there's emulators that can communicate with each other that might be able to play that game. I don't know what kind of nightmare it would be,
man.
But there's it blows my mind. That was a real game. It came in the same cartridge as a Link to the Past remake. Or remastery or whatever, port or whatever you want to call it.
When it came out as a Link to the Past DX?
No, that was Link's Awakening DX.
Apparently,
Link's Awakening. Mm-hmm.
Oh, and also update. Apparently, there's ways to live stream off the GameCube, and they had that attachment where you can play your Game Boy Advance on the GameCube.
Yes.
So
but if you want to do that, we need a GameCube, and we need a specific disc. There's a disc that you need that allows it to communicate with the Game Boy Advances.
You're one of the only motherfuckers live streaming Game Boy Advance games on on YouTube.
There might actually be a market for that, though.
I don't know, man.
Now, in terms of just streaming Game Boy Advance games, you could do that with the Game Boy Player. The Game Boy Player was an attachment for the Game Boy for the GameCube, which attached to the bottom and could play Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance games.
Okay.
And certain games were built to work specifically on the Game Boy Player, like Final Fantasy Tactics Advance. In fact, when you first turn Tactics Advance on, one of the first options it gives you is, are you playing this on the game or on a TV? And if you click TV, it changes all the colors so it works better if you're on your GameCube.
Well, Bill, what are you currently playing?
Well, right now he's currently drinking.
That's not a game, though. I guess you can. Yeah, it can be a game.
I'm in high debate. I've been really... Look, I got to looking at that shelf, Shane, and I got a lot of movies and a lot of games, and they need a lot of playing and a lot of watching.
As do I.
And I started wondering, where do I start? What do I do? I need to start figuring out what games I've played to the point where I've done what I'm going to do with them. And then I need to start going into games that I never gave a chance, like 13, and other games that I may not have given much of a chance. 13 too. And other
Are you
things like
including your Epic games that suck complete ass, and that's why you never gave them a
here's the
chance?
real killer. I've played games like Battle Arena Toshinden all the way through. I haven't played half of Final Fantasy 13.
Oh my god. I played. I'm pretty sure I played a chunk of 13. Wait, I gotta make sure I know what 13 is before.
Look at that. Look at that. I gotta make sure I know what 13 even is.
Dude, they muddle. Yeah, okay. I played the first half of it too. I never got to the second half though.
It was ass.
Because I had the 360 version that had the double disc, and
Here's
I
the thing.
played
It may
the first
not
disc.
have been ass. I don't know.
It was okay. Like I enjoyed it. Like I didn't mind it. I don't know why I never finished it though. I had no idea.
I know why I didn't finish it.
I seen that game in surround vision. He's one of the reasons. Yeah.
Me?
Yeah, you. And I like how I woke up and I walked out to get ready for work. And I said, "Oh, there's that stupid fucking Hope kid." And you said, "No, dude, Hope doesn't do all that whiny shit anymore." And then at the very moment he said that, Hope sat down with a knife. My mommy's dead. And I was like, "Yeah, you're right. He's completely grown up." No. Shane was like, "I swear he hasn't fucking cried until you woke up."
No. It was an emotional scene. Okay? I'm going to tell you something right now.
Character, man. It was developed. Right,
while you were getting up for work and you came out to go to work, and yes, me and Nick were both playing the game, you also forget that I did not beat that game either because I saw the end of it by the same person, because while I also had to go to work, somebody didn't have to go to work.
But in terms of what I'm playing, I got to looking at the shelf and I grabbed a couple of games off. I am about to start Tales of Heart R. I'm going to beat that fucking game.
Are you restarting it? Because you were playing it.
Yes, I have to restart it because I got as far as the weird Mega Man looking dude. I got that robot knight dude on my team.
Oh my god, I can't even tell you how far I got into it. I would have to restart it.
I'm going to restart it and I'm going to play and beat that game.
And that's the one that was only out on Vita, right? Or was it released on other things?
It was released on a 3DS in Japan, but did not come over here until the Vita. And then it was remastered and called R.
Yep. Okay. The best thing to do is just to turn the sound off because they speak in Japanese, and just play it like an old school RPG and just read everything.
I listened to the Japanese.
I enjoy Japanese though. Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
I like Japanese dub stuff.
I listened to it because there are certain key parts that I could pick up on. I've been doing it long enough to where I can't speak it, but there are times that when I hear it, I don't need the subtitles for certain things.
Yeah. For me, because I don't have an ear for language, to me it's completely pointless. I don't understand a word they're saying.
Right.
So I'm just going to read it.
Yeah, see, and like my wife, for example, she cannot play a game if there's Japanese over it, and she can't watch anime because she has an ear for Spanish and French, and she cannot stand Japanese.
My girlfriend can speak Japanese a little bit, nothing like fancy. Like she knows a few things here and there. She says that she could hold a conversation. I'm like, you sure you can hold a conversation when they're speaking real quick? And you're like, hold on, talk slowly.
But right now I am in the process. I noticed that I was 78% complete on Senran Kagura, and I was like, that Estival Versus, and I said, why don't I platinum a second game? So that's currently what I'm doing, because I really don't think it's going to take me much. I've noticed that it all comes down to like Estival Versus is like Dynasty Warriors. As long as you're willing to take the time and level the people up, you'll get it. So that's what I'm doing. I'm going to platinum that game, move to Tales of Hearts R, and then I have a major debate for my PlayStation 4, but I'm leaning towards finally playing that Berseria.
Yeah, I beat that one.
Because I haven't even got to put that in the system yet.
I beat it. I played the hell out of it, took a break for a little while, then sat around one day and was like, I need to finish that game. And then ran through it.
Yeah.
Because while I thought it was a great Tales game, you know me, Vesperia was the game that I could not put the controller down.
Well, see, then there's the other problem I have. I despise the idea that if I ever want to beat these 3 fucking Tales games, I would have to somehow play them on a PlayStation 3. And I'm not buying that fucking thing again. Fucking garbage system.
Why not, Bill?
No. Never.
Bill had
I will go back to Best Buy before I buy that fucking system again.
Bill had the best experience with that.
In fact, I went to Best Buy.
As did I.
Yep.
But my experiences are a little different than yours.
Did you hear that last Best Buy story I had to tell?
Unfortunately,
I don't think I've heard it, no.
About that TV?
No, I have not.
Man, what the fuck episode was that? Oh, it's the Sentai Livecast. You should listen to that because they had me tell my last Best Buy story about buying a television for Gwen and how it went horribly awry.
Yeah, I was gonna say because the only things I make sure to stay current on is this one, of course. But yeah,
I'm current on. I listen to our Sentai.
That's weird.
See, I was gonna say I know nothing about Sentai besides I go on Netflix sometimes and my Netflix decide because it's been doing that more now, Bill. It's randomly just playing Power Rangers. I don't know why. It just decides to. I think it's trying to tell me something.
I'm playing with the camera because it has it doesn't.
Yeah,
it's not HD. Well, see, it is. It's HD, but the frame rate is not high enough for the HD that it's actually putting out.
This is coming from a cell phone.
Yeah.
Technology. But anyway, yeah. So I guess my Netflix is trying to tell me something. It keeps going to the freaking Ninja Steel. I guess it's like.
Speaking of Ninja Steel, I want. Put your claws down, old Bill Logan.
I've watched 5 episodes at this point because I'm like, you know what? It's on. I don't want to fucking get up and click on the mouse to turn something else on. I'm just gonna watch it.
I'm gonna tell you something about that Ninja Steel. I watched the first 2 episodes.
Yeah. What did you think, buddy?
I'm gonna tell you something right now. Growing up, watching Mighty Morphin.
Yeah.
Okay?
Which I did.
Mighty Morphin had bad acting, but
yes,
at least I feel like they tried. And as the seasons went on, you got used to the same characters. Like Tommy, he went from Mighty to Zeo to Turbo, comes back in Dino Thunder. Now we're in the age where these teenagers literally look like teenagers, not like they're in their late 20s.
Yeah.
Well, okay, to be fair, our Rangers were kind of young. Austin St. John was only 19.
Everybody else was in their 20s. Because
but they weren't that much older than him.
But yeah, no, in Ninja Steel, they look like they're freaking in like 16, 17.
Right. Yes, they actually,
yeah.
They feel like they're the right age
for
teenagers. Well,
and it's so bad.
That Red Ranger, oh boy, he needs to win an Academy Award for worst actor.
No, he's the leader. Lift him up in his chair.
Dude,
back to gaming since this is Controller Pileup.
Well, this is a show that we also get off topic. Everybody knows this by now. They listen to our podcast. We never stay on topic at all.
But one thing I do want to hit, I don't know how much more time we have, Bill, but I want to go over April Fool's jokes that different developers did this year because I think they're fun, man.
Well, I guess I could have talked about what I was playing. But that's cool.
Oh yeah, you could do that too.
No, don't worry about it.
Not many people care about what you're playing, man. But I mean, if for the 3 or 5 people that might want to know what you're doing.
I am currently playing Far Cry 5.
Nice. Yeah, I was watching Let's Plays of that because I don't want to spend $60 on a game because I'm broke.
Understandable.
I do that way more than I would care to admit.
I am many hours into it. It's a long ass game.
Oh yeah, man.
And I don't even think I'm halfway done with the game, and I've put, I don't know, 20 plus hours into it.
What do you think so far?
I think it's good. I like it. Unfortunately, villain-wise, it ain't nothing compared to Far Cry 3.
Oh no, I agree.
Far Cry
3, the dude is creepy as fuck, though.
He is.
Yes.
But Far Cry 3 had that fucking villain that made the fucking game.
Oh yeah.
And because of it, every Far Cry that comes after needs to step up their game on the villain.
But graphic-wise, it's fucking gorgeous, though.
Mm-hmm.
It's, oh my god, dude. Like I was watching on a 1080p monitor, and it was still gorgeous. I haven't seen it in 4K yet. It's
a great looking game. I mean, the wilderness of Montana looks fantastic.
Oh yeah.
The game plays real well.
Yes, it's in Montana, Bill.
This game is in the future, right?
No.
Well, no, and they actually mapped it out, so it's like they actually mapped out.
Couldn't you just watch a nature show or go to Montana or something?
It's in a fictional county.
See some pictures.
No, we don't want to do that. We want to explore boring ass Montana.
Yeah, man.
Montana's not an exotic place like some of the other Far Cries have taken place in. But I will tell you that it's fun, for being just yes, you have Xavier.
The only thing that's around me because my wife is freaking Mexican.
That's a little creepy.
Well, it's because my wife is freaking Mexican.
I got used to him.
Oh no. That was amazing.
Other than that, I'm not.
Here we go. Yeah.
But other than that, I'm not really doing
McDonald's
much.
ball?
No, that was actually one that I bought and turned it into a ring case to propose to my wife. Because
so far I know about your Far Cry. What else you got?
Ni no Kuni 2.
Is that cool?
I'm about 8 hours into it, and while it's a completely different game from the original, not just different characters, but the battle system itself. While the original Ni no Kuni was a turn-based, this one is more of a real-time, like Tales.
Okay.
But there is no when you're in dungeons or you're in a town and you need to fight enemies, there is no screen breaking to take you to a battlefield. You just start attacking.
Right.
When you're on the world map, that's the only time do you go to chibi form, walk around the map, and when you find an enemy, then it takes you to a battlefield. You can also do have like a little battles where you have like an army and you attack other armies. You're building your own kingdom, so you find a spot, and not only are you have a castle, but you're building like stores and stuff, and you're trying to rebuild your kingdom. I have that on the way too, Bill. I noticed that you're trying to get a rise out of me by showing me cool stuff. That ain't gonna work. I have a Metal Gear 1 coming.
Not as cool as Tifa.
I can put my fucking wrist on fucking Solid Snake's man cleavage. Listen.
I'm rocking out with the coolest one of of all three of you. Look at this; it's beautiful. That's limited edition black right there.
Playing
you guys' mouse pads suck.
You have no idea. This is the most uncomfortable mouse pad I've ever used.
I don't mind this one because it has like a memory foam thing.
I don't
so do
have
mine.
That.
Yeah.
Breasts.
Memory breasts.
Other than that,
I remember them.
I was
I'm sure you do.
People that have listened to our show know that I have a tendency not to finish games.
Oh yes. Once or
and
twice.
I'm bad at that too.
While I am trying to beat Far Cry, to get that out of the way, go back to Ni no Kuni, I'm also playing Monster Hunter. And I'm like, I don't know how many hours I have in it, probably 10 plus hours. And I don't know when this game is going to end because there's just so much to do. Like, these games I'm playing are very time consuming. There's not.
Yeah, I think you need to research how long these games are and then, really decide.
It's not just that. It's also the fact that, like, when you start playing a game, you have another game coming out.
I know.
Yeah.
Which is the whole point to this show is the pile up.
Well, yeah, because my issue right now is I have Odyssey, Breath of the Wild, and Xenoblade Chronicles 2, all of which I haven't finished yet.
I just started, and I had to start it over, but I just restarted Breath of the Wild on the Switch. That's what I'm concentrating on for Switch.
Yeah, I'm about to restart it. I'm getting to that point.
I'm trying to pick one game per system and focus on it.
Yeah, and I don't know which one to pick for Switch, so I've just been playing all three.
For me, my Switch game is the same as you.
Oh, and Bayonetta's my relaxing game in between sessions of
Breath of the Wild.
Wild. Because that game is huge, and Bayonetta is very much like a Devil May Cry. I'll be done with it in a day if I cared to. Yeah. So I just do like one or two events, and then I play Breath of the Wild.
For me, it's Rocket League because I enjoy Rocket League. It's fun.
For me, Switch is the same game as you, Bill. I restarted Breath of the Wild, giving it another chance. I'm actually enjoying it more than I did when I first played it. I'm discovering things I never discovered in my first round.
Did you get a motorcycle?
I didn't. You have to get the DLC for that.
I didn't get the DLC either. I was just curious if you did.
Yeah. I thought.
By the way, on the Pokken tournament that came out for it, the DLC, one of the DLCs is fucking Blastoise.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
It took them this long to add Blastoise.
Well, the first version of the game did not have Blastoise. No. Now there's Mewtwo, Dark Mewtwo come in the game as playable characters this time. There were 2 guys that were added, and one of the DLCs is going to be Blastoise, and then there's a couple other guys. So all we need is a fucking Venusaur. All we need is a Venusaur, and we can at least have the Kanto starters lined up in a single game.
Yeah. And they also have Celebi and Mew as the side characters in this new expansion.
But when you're looking at each console that I own, like right now I'm not playing anything on my Vita or my 3DS, but Switch is Zelda, PS4 is Ni no Kuni, Monster Hunter, Far Cry, and that's it on that. Xbox One is Far Cry, because I needed to fucking turn the Xbox on. I needed a reason to. And then I'm on my computer. I'm playing a game that doesn't end right now.
What game's that?
World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
Yay.
How far are you into?
Yeah, it's a very.
Are you into like the meta yet, or are you still leveling up characters? Or any game, I should say.
Leveling up.
By the way, they released some new MMO, some new free MMO for the PlayStation 3, but I haven't had a chance to look at it yet. All I know is that it was just released.
You said for the PS3 or the PS4?
4, sorry.
Terra.
Oh, yeah, I was like, wait, what?
Terra, that's it. You just said it, but I don't know what it is.
Oh, they released Terra for PS4. That's awesome.
I don't know what it is.
Terra's really good.
It is. I haven't.
But what I wanted them to release, they're not releasing. So
that?
I have to go to my computer to play it.
What's that?
Age of Conan.
Oh, you actually thinking about getting that?
I read Red Sonja. I've been reading it for probably longer than I was reading it easily back before I even met Kevin.
Oh wow.
So
which is I've heard some good things about it.
So I'm interested because Age of Conan actually takes place in that world.
Mm-hmm. Well, certain MMOs are not going to come to the consoles.
And Kevin Nick went and got the game, and right now he's a sorcerer, he said.
Right.
Yeah, when I jump on PC, I've mostly been playing Civilization 5, I think, is the last game I played, because, yeah, I haven't played a strategy game in a while.
Okay, so here's the thing. We are at the end of the show, so right now we are going to add to the book. This is where we put topics down, and the topics may come up in the next episode. They may come up 4 episodes from now, whatever. Sometimes we need to hit a topic just for the sake of. Every now and then we're going to come in here and we're going to say, I'm still playing Senran Kagura. And that's going to be the end of it. And we don't, and so we need topics to continually manifest. Right now, the only 2 topics that are lined in this book are 2 versus debates. Versus debates work like this. You get 10 minutes to argue your points for one side or the other. After those 10 minutes, you have to pick. Everybody has to vote. Somebody has to win. In order to do a versus debate, we need at least 3 hosts, as we have here today. We can't do this right now, but so far lined up in the versus debate is Samanosuke versus Dante and Mega Man versus Samus. You can add a versus, or you can add a topic.
Let's go Kratos versus the Bayonetta chick.
Bayonetta?
Yeah. I had never played Bayonetta yet. I'm planning on doing that soon, but...
She has a real name. I just can't remember it.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's added.
Kratos
you got anything, Shane?
Would be interesting.
I've always been interested in that Samanosuke and Dante one.
Well, that's already added.
Oh, for versus. Fuck.
You don't need a versus if you have a gaming topic.
Ooh, this would be an interesting one. For if we just one other versus every single version of Link, seeing which one is superior.
Somebody already beat us to that.
Yeah.
Oh, did they? Okay.
I can't remember who that was though. Not that Mega Man and Samus hasn't already been done too, but.
Oh yeah.
Gaming topic.
And we can think of more off stream too if needed.
Yeah, right now I can't.
Well, that's what the point of the end of the show is. So the show never dies. At the end of each show, you get a chance to add something to the book.
Oh, we can do like what classic games do you think deserve a remake that would, and if they do get a remake, what you would want to see from them. Not a port, but an actual remake.
Okay.
That's always a very lengthy topic that we can revisit multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
And if anyone has suggestions and, ideas on that too, we can hit on those.
Okay, so I have added to the book of Link, and we are set. That was the first episode here, and yeah, it's done and whatnot.